Hey there, it's your friendly neighborhood communication professor. I guess neighborhood, if your neighborhood is the internet, maybe. I maybe you have to redefine what neighborhood means. Anyway, I'm here to talk a little bit about another quick tip. It's easy for me to say. This time we're going to look a little bit at culture and the importance of culture. Culture affects everything in our lives. Every aspect of our life is affected by our culture. But a lot of times people aren't exactly sure what we're talking about when we're referring to culture. We have cultured pearls and, cultured music and all this other stuff. So, what do we actually mean when we're talking about culture? So, by culture, if I can get this to work, my computer is very slowly dying, I think. But what we're referring to when we're talking, boy, look how slow that is. When we're talking about culture, what do we mean? And what we mean is it's the symbols, the values, the language, and the norms that are unique to a particular group. And typically, when we think of culture, we think of it from a national standpoint. So, French culture, the symbols of France are the French flag, the Eiffel Tower, French wine, French values. I'm not that familiar with France. I probably shouldn't have picked French, but there are unique French values, the French language, of course, and norms that are unique to the country of France. You go to the United States and we have the flag as a symbol, the American eagle, the bald eagle is a symbol. We value democracy, we value capitalism, we value choice, language. Typically, even though we don't have a national language, English is the language that we normally speak, and we have norms where we shake hands when we meet someone, and we tend to smile a lot. We try to be very politically correct. We try to be friendly. There's all these things that are unique to our particular group that are different than other places, and that's our culture. And we're very defined by our cultures. The environment that we grow up in, it greatly affects how we perceive things. I talked about perception in the live session and also in the other quick tip. How we perceive things is a product of our culture versus how people from other parts of the world perceive things. They're products of their cultures. And there are a ton of different cultures, as you're going to find out in the text. There's also things called co-cultures. So smaller groups within a culture, like bikers, for example, they have sort of their own languages, the way they talk about motorcycles and that kind of thing. They have some symbols, for example, bikers pass each other, and I'm sitting down, but typically they'll hold their hands out down low. Or Jeep, my wife is a Jeep Wrangler owner, and Jeep Wrangler owners always, when they're driving down the road and they pass another one, they always wave. That's a symbol. And they have certain things that are unique to them. They aren't full cultures. They don't have all of those things, maybe, but they have enough that they make up a co-culture. And we are members of a culture. Everybody's a member of a culture. Most of us are members of, if we were born and raised in the United States, US culture. And we're also members of a ton of different co-cultures. Maybe we're bikers and we're gamers and we're cosplayers and tons of different things that are out there. And the book goes into this in a great deal. It's important in interpersonal communication to understand culture and the effects of culture. And when we are interacting with people from different cultures, it's important to understand their culture because they're going to view things a lot of times differently than we do. And it's not that they're weird or they're strange or they're wrong. They're viewing it from their perspective, and they view us the same way that we view them. We're strange, we're weird. And so it pays to understand how culture impacts, and it improves communication when you understand other people's cultures and how they think, it helps you to communicate more effectively because you understand their perception as opposed to trying to present everything from your own. You're like, oh, they see things a little bit differently. How can I explain this so they understand? So it's a very important factor in our lives. It's a very important factor in communication, especially now where we've got worldwide communication and the ability to have friends all around the world. 30 years ago, we didn't have nearly the reach that we do now. You typically knew people in your town and people that you grew up with that moved away, but you couldn't be friends with somebody real easily over in Italy and all of a sudden pop up on your computer and talk to them directly. And now we can do that anytime we want, right? I've actually had students who were in other parts of the world. I have, especially in the summertime, I will have public speaking students who are in China, and we'll have to interact back and forth across the computer from China. We couldn't do that 30 years ago. So because of the ability to reach further, we encounter cultures more. And so it does play even more now into interpersonal communication than it used to. But another thing to remember is that even though we are all shaped by these cultures that we have, we are also very much alike. At the core, we are still very similar people. And in fact, we're a lot more related than we sometimes realize we are. There's been a lot of focus, especially in the US over the last 5 years, about the southern border with Mexico and immigration and all of that kind of stuff. And even with the leadership change in the United States, there's still a lot of focus on that issue. And it's a cultural clash or a cultural confrontation there between Latin American cultures for the most part and the United States culture. And we always point at the differences and we don't necessarily pay attention to the sameness. So today I wanted to take a minute to point out that there's a difference between heritage and culture. Culture is where we grew up. And let's take someone who may have family roots back in Japan, and maybe their grandparents came over from Japan to the United States and settled, and now they're living here. They were born in the United States. They grew up here. They look still Japanese, but they're United States. They're a product of American culture. And they have American culture, Japanese heritage. And there's a big difference between the two. And it's important to understand that there is a difference between the two. Don't judge a book by its cover. But also to understand that we are a lot more alike, even across vast stretches of land around the world, than we sometimes realize we are. And so while we're focusing in the reading about culture and all of the differences, you're going to see things about high context and low context and collectivistic and individualistic and high power and low power and all of these differences that happen around cultures. It's also important to remember that there is a very high amount of sameness. And so that's what I wanted to share with you today. Is this clip is about how we are different and the same at the same time. And so I'm not going to talk anymore, but this is a great video representation of that.
I'm proud to be English. My family have served and we've defended this country and we've been to war for this country.
I'm really patriotic about Bangladesh.
Well, I am 100% Icelandic, yeah, definitely.
This is a Kurdish wedding with my mom in the traditional Kurdish clothes.
We're just proud black, so that's it.
Yeah, I think we are probably the best country in the world, if I'm honest.
Think about other countries and other nationalities in the world. Are there any that you don't feel you you get on with well or you won't like particularly?
Germany. Yeah, I'm not a fan of the Germans.
You might think they're a little bit...
Particularly India and Pakistan, probably, because of the whole, the conflict.
Because I have this side of me that's like, that hates Turkish people. Not people, but the government.
But French?
Nah. We're just best, it's just fact.
I'm more important than you. I don't know you, but in my opinion, I am strong and I am more important than a lot of people.
How would you feel about taking a journey based on your DNA?
Yeah, I feel very intrigued.
What could you possibly tell me that I don't know?
So do you know how DNA works? So you get half from mum and half from dad, so 50% from each of them, and they get 50% from their parents, and back and back and back. And all those little bits of your ancestor, they filter down to make you, you. I need you to spit in this tube for me. You spit up to the little black line.
That's a lot of spit.
Right, the story of you is in that tube. What's it gonna tell me?
It's gonna be, oh yeah, you're French, and wait, your grandparents are French, and wait.
100% Bengali.
Solid Iraqi.
I'm Cuban.
You're gonna tell me that I'm English, like I've told you?
Jay, can you come down and join us?
I'm a little bit nervous, I have to say.
So you ready to find out your results? Will you read it out to us, please?
Wow, look at me.
Oh my God. Oh, wow. Shit, I didn't expect that.
All of them.
Whoa! No.
Caucasus, which was Turkish?
Yeah.
Eastern Europe, Spain, Portugal, Italy, Greece.
I'm 32% British.
What?
Great Britain, 30%. Can we 5% German?
I'm Irish.
Yeah.
So I'm a Muslim Jew.
Great Britain, 11%. Are you sure these results are mine?
Eastern Europe?
Iceland has definitely moved closer to Europe now.
I'm gonna go a bit far right now, but this should be compulsory. There would be no such thing as like extremism in the world if people knew their heritage like that. Like, who would be stupid enough to think of such thing as like a pure race?
In a way, we're all kind of cousins, in a broad sense. In a much more direct sense, you have a cousin in this room. Turn around and guess who it is. Waj,
Yeah. What's that?
why don't you come down here and meet your cousin?
God, this is the best.
Did you know that?
I didn't know I did. This is like, my heart's pounding right now, I swear to God. We met.
Jay from everywhere by the reason this.
I'm a real man of the world.
Wow, that's beautiful. Thank you.
So would you like to travel to all of these places?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So as you can see, culture is important and it plays a big role in all of our communication. But it's also important to remember that there is an awful lot of sameness and that we are, to a degree, all very interrelated. So keeping that in mind encourages both to learn about the cultures that we interact with and what are their symbols, values, norms, languages, but also there's a lot of sameness there too. And that's the point of today's quick tip. So I plan on hopefully doing another one of these still this week, and I'll see you later on.